Getting reports from all around the country that people are in fact experiencing rolling blackouts, even though officials are calling on people and urging them to, engage in these kinds of conservatory practices, especially during the peak hours of the day. People are still trying to go on with their lives and get by with the little bit of energy and motivation that they might have. So it's not going to be easy for Ukraine to convince everybody to get into a specific kind of routine in terms of how they use their electricity, but definitely people are aware that those cuts are happening and they could happen in people's neighborhoods anytime soon. Today, there were 3 more electricity facilities targeted around Ukraine, leaving tens of thousands of people without electricity. Officials are also warning that people should stock up on water so that they have the drinkable water and to make sure they have warm blankets and clothes, because they expect that this specific strategy is going to continue, that Russia is going to continue targeting electricity production infrastructure in the coming days, and that's possible that it's going to continue into the winter, especially as Ukraine conducts a relatively successful counteroffensive, especially on the Kherson front, putting Russia on its heels, and some people suggesting that Russia is actually trying to cover up its retreat from Kherson province, a very strategic and symbolic place in south-central Ukraine. But for now, Ukrainians say they want more weapons, like President Zelensky explained, more weapons, the right kinds of weapons, in order to protect their skies 100%. Because what's happening now is they are able to intercept some of these incoming projectiles, but those very few that are getting through this defense system that they've established are causing a lot of damage in a very short amount of time. 30% at least of Ukraine's ability to produce electricity has been shut down because of these kinds of attacks. These are Ukrainian citizens, and that's why Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, was actually sending a message specifically to them. Now, these Ukrainian citizens have, in some places, been under Russian occupation for long months now, some of them more than 6 months, since the start of this latest round of violence. But now that Russia is, it seems, on the run, as Ukrainians like to believe, because of this successful counteroffensive that Ukraine has been pushing forward with over the last 8 weeks, it seems like Russia is trying to cover up its retreat. At least this is what Ukrainians believe. Now, martial law means that people are going to have to submit to the rule of these kinds of military representatives that are in charge of these areas. There's 4 of them. One of these areas that's been in the headlines lately is Kherson, for example, and there's huge movements happening on the ground there. Russia announced that it was going to be evacuating at least 60,000 people from these towns and villages near the Dnieper River. But Ukrainians don't see this as an evacuation. Ukrainians see this as a forced displacement. And Western intelligence is saying that Russia is actually preparing to carry out a false flag attack on this dam that's supposed to flood this area and cover up Russia's retreat. That's what Ukraine and Western officials are saying. Russia is saying that no, the Ukrainians are actually attacking the dam and putting these citizens' lives in danger. The reality is that there are really big things happening on the ground, especially on the Kherson front. This Russian general is saying that Russia's situation is tense because Ukrainian forces have spent the last 8 weeks advancing, pushing Russia 20 to 30 kilometers back into Kherson province. They're taking over territory, and that's all happened, as I mentioned, over the last 2 months, over the last several days. They've also made some advances at the beginning of last week. They announced that they took at least 5 more settlements near the Dnieper River, but there's still a